Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 4th episode of the We Grow 360 podcast. This month, we're focusing on the industry. How do we get hired? How to get them jobs? How to find opportunities? And how to live a sustainable and happy life in the industry as a dancer. Yay! But we cannot really get into the topic without mentioning how to be a female in this. How to be a woman in this, how to be an artist on this side of things. So I just thought it's going to be really interesting to bring some of the most inspiring females I know and have an open conversation and see what we can do and how that conversation can help others as well. Because I feel like conversations are the one that are just very needed.
Yes.
So listen, and hopefully you're going to take something from it. So in the studio today, we have the Afro Queens founder, lecturer, enterprise, teacher, educator, curator, and just a phenomenal artist, snatching awards left, right, center.
Wow.
Olu.
Thank you so much. Oh, hello. Hello, please.
Hello, please.
Hello. How's everybody doing? Thank you. That was really nice.
I love that. I'm trying to make them introduction like, funky. Okay, so we have also Myself UK founder, choreographer, movement director, and a multi-talented dance artist, Kloe.
Thank you.
All right. And then special guest, We Grow 360 producer. Oh
my God.
Without her, this would not be happening. Far from the norm, tour manager. She is also an all styles badass on the dance floor, yeah?
Yes.
All styles. Ask it, she's gonna do it.
Yes.
Gabby.
Not breaking though, thank you. Everything but breaking.
Give it a year. She's gonna definitely make it work. Hard worker. Whatever she's asked to do, she's always gonna put the best foot forward for sure. Lovely. Thank you so much, ladies. And I wanna kind of start away from our dance world. I wanna kind of start from quite of a big question, but I would like to ask you, what do you cherish about being a woman?
Oh.
We start straight away. We dive deep.
We dive deep.
Yeah, I think we hold empathy very well. I think we've got an amazing intuition. I think we have an embedded depth of emotions that we can tap into. And for the majority of women that I know, we're quite articulate in how we express ourselves in those emotions. I think as females, like, we create humans. Can we just take a moment that we create
That part.
all of you? We create you. So just having that, I think we have the mothering nature, whether we have children or not, to hold space for people and hold comfort, understanding, but also be able to flip a switch and be disciplined, like get everything together, get people in order. So I think as a female, we hold a lot of incredible qualities as a human being.
I love that. Even listening to this feels nice now. Yeah, we do.
Thanks, Kloe.
That was
Nice.
spot on. I
Anything
think
to add?
everything Queen Kloe said. And yeah, I think for me, it's just like possessing the power of knowing that we are the beginning of life. I think that's just such an incredible gift like to hold, and I don't take that for granted. So I think just having, and everything that Kloe said, nothing to add.
Love it.
I think I do not yet connect with the motherly aspect because I'm not a mother, and I don't know if I will be a mother, but I feel like a great power in having the ability to care and make things happen and unite people and take them under my wing and just have that trust that we will make this happen.
Yeah.
And usually when I am with women, I'm like, we will make this happen. And
That's
this is
true,
an example.
That's true. Whenever I'm around women or whenever there's a task at hand or whatever, if there's a woman in the team, I'm like, it's gonna be fine, one way or another. But there's also like something I was listening to the other day. I don't even remember what that was, but it's the caring aspect. Like if you take us back, women were there to care for either husband, kids. That was like the primary thing. To care for whoever was at home, right? Like male, someone will be like probably like providing, but woman was there to care. And it's really nice how we, even if we change the world, and like obviously we now like providing for ourselves and stepping into like our power, stepping into our like jobs and stuff, the caring aspect is just still there. We kind of added on top of it, kind of expanded, but at the core I feel like the caring is just really, really beautiful. I just really hope sometimes we can take that care and like flick it back on ourselves as well, because we can give so much, but I think like we're there to like go, like everything goes outwards, which is great. But I'm like, let's just keep a little bit in.
It can be draining.
Yeah,
like it's an amazing like quality to have, but it can definitely be draining because you can't give from an empty cup. So I agree.
Nice. So how would you say what we just said, how do you feel as a female dance artist? Do you think anything from that relates to you as an artist in the dance world?
Wow. It's a loaded question.
Yeah.
Because also I think I mainly operate in like hip hop dance scene or like street styles, where I always thought growing up that masculine is favored over feminine. So, and also I'm quite bad with terms, male, female, woman, man. So I'm using them how I know. But so I always saw my dance training needing to be very agile, very in your face, very, I'm going to show you. And I think it developed that way quite a lot. And if you see me dancing, I'm usually like bursting with energy. And I think now dancing over 15 years, I'm only now starting to like slow down, become gentle, understand that gentleness sometimes holds much more power than rah, 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 I'm in your face. So for me, I always felt the pressure to express differently than maybe would have been natural to me. I don't know, but that's the route I went through personally of being like trying to copy my male tutors because majority of my teachers were men. Trying to like prove myself in ciphers that are male dominated usually. And yeah, that just called my feminine to like hide. And I think only in the past few years I was like, let's bring it out, like let's use it in a different way.
What made you like change it and find it?
Because I felt like I'm forcing it. And like the results were not there. And I was like, so am I just faking it all? Like, what is it? And still, like, I still enjoy, and I'm not saying that power doesn't equal woman. No, but usually I, in my head, associate like dynamics, power, aggression, everything that is in someone's face with more the masculine side of things. So yeah, so that is just a thought, just my experience that I was molded and shaped before I had my own voice.
That's interesting, and definitely one of the topics I definitely want to go into. Definitely, we're gonna definitely dive there. What about you, ladies? How do you feel?
Yeah, I feel similar because I was also trained by, me and Kloe probably have similar experience. I was trained predominantly by amazing, incredible men in the industry, and I think, I don't know, I've got goosebumps and I'm getting a bit emotional, but I think for the first maybe 10 years, I loved the masculine energy that I possessed because I was obsessed with my tutors and I wanted to be like them. So naturally and instinctively, like you start to embody the demeanor and you start to embody unknowingly, like even the mentality. And some of that I carried over into how I taught as well. So then I can't even remember what year it was, I decided, very similar to Kloe, to switch that round, and I decided and made a conscious effort to strictly only work with women. I really wanted to have a dance company, and I just made a decision that it was just going to be women, and I was going to flip this thing that was seen as masculine energy and demeanor, and I wanted it to be seen in form of a woman, and that it's not exclusive to men. And I also struggled a little bit with finding my feminine as well, because it was kind of like a little bit of a head. Can I swear?
Permission granted.
It was a little bit of a head fuck, because I loved the attention as well that I got, because I was a lot shorter than I am now. I was like 4'9", like, but the way I danced was like, by the way, Luke was also one of my teachers. Fun fact. And yeah, like I loved the attention that I got, because people were like, Jesus Christ, like she's a beast. But I think as I got older and your mindset starts to change and you start to think about like who you are as a woman, and relationships come into it, and just like how you interpret music, and you're like, I don't even know if I can choreograph to this because of what is sitting in my body, and I really, really struggled with what that meant, like for me, and how I'm perceived away from dance, how I'm perceived as a woman. And that started to bother me after a while, because inside, like, I felt like a woman, but in dance spaces it didn't really matter, because I, like, what was natural to me was this like masculine like energy. So yeah, I think that's why I was getting a bit emotional, because I really, really like struggled with it. But I think having an all women company, I think really helped, because the different dynamics of women that was in there, I think I was able to see examples like of that in close proximity to me. So yeah, I mean, clearly I still like embody that, but I think I have a much of a healthier balance now. And I'm still very much like obsessed with the men that, you know, that helped like curate who I am today. But equally, there were also women when I was coming up in dance that like also helped me switch, Kloe being one of them. Shout out Kloe.
Yeah, likewise.
Shout out. Yeah, like people like Rhymes and people like Tally and people like Clara, who have such a beautiful balance of like feminine and masculine, and like it never felt like one outweighed the other. So yeah, even though like I struggled like halfway through like my dance journey, I feel like a lot of women around me were also going through that transition. So I didn't necessarily like feel alone, and I had really great examples, and I still have great examples. I feel like those women that I mentioned and more really like embody that like amazing balance that I really love, because this is never going to change. How I dance is never going to change, but I know how to like switch in and out if I want and when I want.
I mean, I just want to mention all the dresses you wear at the awards. Please check them. Wow.
Kloe, yeah, I feel like gender is quite a layered subject to explore within movement, because I think it's really influenced by society and what people see as men and women, which we all know has changed now. And I think something that I've struggled with is I've never, it's going to sound so wild, but I've never seen myself as a woman when I dance. I just see myself as a dancer and as a movement. And there used to be times when I used to battle and train more, like in terms cypher wise, like I used to think, I didn't, like someone would be like, oh Kloe, you're like the only girl. And I was like, oh, I wouldn't even realize, because I didn't really think of it as a thing at first. And it was one time I was training with someone and they made a comment, and they was training breaking, and they were like, oh yeah, do it again, but do it sexy, like do it sexy. And I was just like, what? Like, and then I started to then like have these like situations where people would start to comment, and things that I wouldn't have even thought about started to come up, and it made me think, oh, okay, so this is going to be an interesting journey as a dancer, because I'm going to come up with these challenges of expectation of what a female should be. And I think even now, sometimes as a choreographer, like I work with everyone. There's nothing that I kind of say no to, and but I do get a lot of expectations, especially if someone doesn't know me, that like, because I'm a female, that I'm going to do a certain way of moving or a certain style. And my prerogative is to break that expectation and not live by that. And I just think it's really important for people to be respected and understood, as like, even as a choreographer, like I'm just not, I don't feel excited when people say best female choreographer. I want to be the best choreographer. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't, like, for me, I think maybe just at the age I am now and how long I've been in this scene and the industry, I'm kind of like, it's great to lift up females, but I think the whole point of equality is for everyone to be on the same plane. So that's something that I'm really passionate about, because we definitely need the spaces for all female, but I think these conversations need to happen about that, because especially with people that are gender fluid and have a different identity, I think those spaces are totally different now, and it's hard to navigate in order to be inclusive of as many people as possible. And where does that lie, and where does that stop? Like, for example, like having an all-female company, if I do auditions, is it people that identify as female, that are born female? Like, it's just really having those like hard conversations and look at where that lies, which I don't think is spoken about a lot. It gets brushed over, especially in auditions, because people are still auditioning people as females and males.
That's true.
So I think, because I went to one, this is years ago, when Spice Girls did their tour, they said it was like a gender neutral audition, and I identify as a female, but I said, yo, I can do the mandem choreo probably better than the women's, innit? So I was like, oh, can I step into that? But it wasn't about the movement, which made me think that doesn't make sense, because I went to the female and they were like, female audition, and they were like, it's like gender neutral choreo, but it started like all like this, and I was just like, so it just doesn't make sense to me. So I think it's something that needs to be looked at and addressed, to just make it more inclusive all around.
I love that. And I think especially that we're progressing, like we're progressing with times, we're progressing how we see things, so we should not sit comfortably in what used to be acceptable, but kind of just like, let's just talk again about this. Let's just like just have it, let's check ourselves. Like, are we like following what's happening? Like, are we opening? Are we progressing? I think progress is like such a big thing, because as society, I think we're trying to do progress, and then we take 2 steps back, you know, instead of like constantly like doing small steps. Like, it's fine, just little small steps, but they can make a big difference, like you said, to someone, you know,
100%.
because of you don't think about it doesn't mean like it's not gonna change someone's perception, life, or I don't know, mood or anything. But everything you said, like, I just like, I feel like I relate to it so much. Like, I started so young, and I feel like from the very young age, I could see that there was less male dancers in the group or whatever, but for some reason they were getting more recognition straight away. So I was there like, wait, hold on, like, what are you actually doing better? Okay, you're stronger. Okay, wait, let me train. I'll step in next to you and I'll do it like stronger, better, like, you know, like I was trying to match that, because for some reason for me that was like what everyone was aiming for, everyone was like appreciating. So I was like, my brain was also very like the masculine thing, like the strong, the power. But then at some point in my life also I was like, okay, so now I have the power, but I want to now use this power as a female, you know, I want to embrace that in the female side of me as well. But I'm also like, as I was listening to you, I'm thinking about, does it also come from the style that we choose to do? Because if you think about hip hop, it was created by a lot of male, you know, dancers.
But I think because they were seen, I don't agree with that 100%. I think you've got to deep the times that hip hop started coming up. And if you look at society, women were in the background.
Boom.
And I think you've got a deep the history of hip hop was not documented like properly, like other than like Run DMC and like Rocksteady crew, like do you know what I mean? The people that were at the forefront and on TV, Electric Boogaloos, like they're the people that were making it to the mainstream, were able to document like the hip hop dictionary with Buddha Stretch and Link, like. But you've got to deep how many other people were involved, but we just didn't know. Like, I'm sure if you ask someone from Canada, like who are like the top UK dancers, like back in 20 years, they would not know. Do you know what I mean? Now we have social media. It's a lot easier. So I think I get it, but I also think like there's times when I've been, I can't like name them exactly, but I know there's been times when I've learnt from say Buddha Stretch or Link or someone, they'll go, this woman taught me this groove
Love that.
in the club. Do you know what I mean? So like even that in itself is proof that it wasn't just a mandem dance. And that's why I think when people say like, oh, hip hop's masculine, I beg to differ, because if there's so many people like even in the UK, let alone like the rest of the world, that are like badding up hip hop, but it comes back to what do you class, I guess, as masculine movement and a feminine movement, because I think it both comes hand in hand.
I love that. And to be fair, like it like really opens the whole perspective. I think it's just kind of like when I was growing up, that was the only like thing I could see as role models, because again 100. That was what was documented, and again that was before Instagram when I started dancing, barely an internet, you know. Them really bad videos on YouTube.
We get to dial up the internet, boy. You'll wait for 10 years. Beep. that was the one.
Oh my god. Yeah, just like, you know, the one teacher or the two teachers, three teachers you have in your city or whatever, where I come from, it's just like there were male dancers as well, you know. And I think like luckily now it's just like it's changing, so it's really good, but it's important to talk about it as well, you know, because there's so many male leaders that are out there outspoken speaking about it, but we don't know enough about the female leaders in these styles.
I think just to touch on what Kloe said, I think from an African dance perspective, I think when you look at it culturally, when you look at some of these new modern contemporary like Azonto and Corbett, like some of the stuff that's more newer, there is no like there are some styles in African dance where the guy can shake the bum and it wouldn't be like, oh my god, like it wouldn't be like a thing. So I think from this side of things it's interesting because culturally, like you wouldn't necessarily like some of the styles that we see on social media, I mean, like you wouldn't necessarily like split them up in terms of the moves that you do. Like I think it's more about the individual's choice of how they display the movement. Of course, if you dig deeper, like traditional dances, of course, I think because they carry more, like some of them are about fertility and some of do you know what I mean? So with those, it's a bit different. But I think with the ones that we see on social media now that, you know, you tend to see in studios that get taught, I think it's interesting that is because I was with Azonto, I was taught by a guy again. But that there was nothing at any point that made me feel how I felt when I learned hip hop. It wasn't like I'm learning it with a male demeanor because the movement it was a choice, you know. So I think it's such interesting like parallels and different sides of the coin.
Yeah, I agree.
What would you say was the biggest challenge for you, or did you face any challenge feeling that, okay, like I can feel that being a female right now like makes it harder for me?
100% looks for
Let's
me.
talk about it.
Like I'm most comfortable in like masculine clothing. Doesn't mean I identify as a man, but and just in terms of like, especially like I'm talking like auditioning and building a career, that for me was a challenge because the feedback I'd get from auditions would be more about what I looked like than what I danced like. And I remember there was one audition and I cried at the end because I was like, not that I thought, oh, I'm sick, but you know when you like banged your life out, like sweated buckets, gave everything, and there was a girl, beautiful girl, she was dying, like left, right, center. Love to her. We all like got to try.
We all been there, so.
But she got the job, and I knew why. And if, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and when I asked, it was like, oh yeah, their excuse was that they had someone that looked like me already. And I looked around and I was like, no, you don't have someone that's like me. But like, it just shows, do you know what I mean? Like the things you have to kind of live up to or present as. I think it's changed now. This was ages ago, but I think that was a big challenge for me, because I went through, and I think a lot of women, especially young women, go through a stage of what they feel like they have to show up as in order to be accepted. When like in my older stage now, I'm like, the actual golden thing is to be like authentically you. Like when I dyed my hair pink and was like, fuck this shit, I'm just gonna like do me, I just booked bare jobs, like because I committed fully to like what I felt at that time, and stopped caring about what others thought. And I find that like I can experience it when I look at like the young women I ever work with, or even when I see young women online, and you see like, if it's your thing, do it. Like, I'm not saying it's bad, but you know when people do like lingerie photo shoots and like think that they have to like show everything to like be commercialized, it just breaks my heart, because I'm just like, if that's what people are booking people on, like we need to look at the industry and like see. And that's something again that I'm trying to change, being able to work within the industry more now. Like the way that I bring people into jobs or audition, like I'm so strong about like, yeah, okay, we need to look presentable, but like you need to be on job and be able to deliver. Like that's the key, that's the thing. And I think if we can put that into all of the work that's going on industry wise, I think a lot of things could change in a positive way. So yeah, that was my challenging thing, looks.
Any other challenges?
Taken away. I haven't worked in the commercial industry as much as you have, but I am facing quite a bit of a different thing. And I think I do many things in the dance industry. I dance, I produce, I teach. And when I rock up to a job, I really care. Like, I will do that job. I will smash it. I just want to. For me, it says a lot about me as a person, about me as a human. So that's why if I commit to a job, I commit. And I think the amount of times that I've been questioned of like, but can you do it all? And I think like, I don't know, but my male friends were never questioned, can they do it all? And I was just like, maybe I can't, but like, do you see me failing? Like, do you see me failing?
Yeah,
you know? So I'm just like sometimes wondering when I rock up as this like, the way that I look, small, young girl, and I rock up with this energy, I will make this happen. And people are like, yeah, but you're doing 100 things. And I'm like, yes, but so is Tom, Dick, and Harry. And they're not being questioned. So I'm just like,
It's so important.
leave me alone. Just let me show you, you know? So yeah, so maybe that.
Also,
No, I agree. Sorry, I was gonna say I agree, because I think the same. Like, I hope I still look quite young, but like a lot of people think I'm younger than I am, and like, you know, when people try and tell you how to do your job, and it's like, okay, like I let them finish, and then I just do the job, and then they're like, oh, okay, because I've
it
experienced
takes
that
a lot, you know, composure.
Yeah, it's because I can relate to Gabs, because I've had so many people, like, it's just that kind of, aren't you sweet? Like, do you want some help? Do you want to help you lift that? Like, do you know how to count to music? Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Like, hello?
But you know what? I want to mention something about this, because what you said is so important. That we as female, like, we go in and we do our job. Like, I know all of us, like, we're very professional. We want to like do our best, and we do this. But it's important to mention that we have our cycle, right? So sometimes our hormones are getting the best of us, right? And it has to be said, right, that sometimes your body is just working against you. And we still go in, show up, don't say nothing, and do that job. And it's so important, because I know a lot of people that are in like serious pains every month, you know, on like serious tablets. And it's like, you don't know until you like experience this. So the other side of the gender would never understand, you know, and they would never even take into account that that might be the case. Or if it's the case, sometimes it's brushed under the table. Like, go on, like you have every month, like it, and it's just so important to like remember that you're allowed to feel that, and you're allowed to voice it, and you're allowed to not making you feel that this takes away from you or takes away from your, I don't know, professionalism, you know, like it's a serious thing. And I feel like as women, like the way that we can just keep bossing things up when in your brain is like, I think I'm gonna cry in a second for like 10 seconds and then I'm gonna be back to normal. It's crazy. Like it's so important for us to like own the fact that we go through it and we still manage to do everything, you know, show up and do the work, you know.
But I think like it depends on environments as well, because I'm luckily in the environments that I've been working in the past few years. Like sometimes I would have to, let's say, run a festival, right? So everyone's looking at me and I'm there and I'm like, hi, everyone. Today I might get my period and I feel very emotional. So if I cry a little bit, I'm sorry. But we keep going, you know? So, but that's the thing, like, because when there is like safety around you, when you feel safe with the people you work with, or even if you're not like the boss or you're working with the team, like if that environment is created for you to be able to share that, like, oh, I'm struggling with this, and that not only like with periods but with anything else, like maybe you lost a relative a few days back, but show must go on, and we make the show go on in this industry, right? So I think, it depends on like the environment that we form. And I found that in the majority of environments where they are led by women, I feel very good. But there are also many amazing men who create these better working environments and acknowledge that things are not always the same for us.
Shout out to them.
Shout out to them.
Just to like add to what Kloe mentioned about just some of the struggles, I think for me, I think it was that notion of how many women can be bosses. It felt like there was like every year there could only be one or just two, you know, like and I mean, it's obviously things have changed now, but I think like back like 10, 15 years ago, like it felt like you couldn't build your own or curate your own lane without feeling like you had to have a male shadow who kind of like, if you walked into a meeting, for instance, with, I don't know, an investor, like it almost felt like, at least I did anyway, it always felt like I wouldn't be heard unless this male figure was beside me, and then it would be like, you know, and I think that further kind of hammered in why I felt like I had to keep up this like, and I still do in some scenarios, because I if I'm being real, like I feel like I have to when I walk into certain spaces, but I think back then it just felt like, no, there's too many of you now, let's pause and wait for another year. So when I think that's why I'm so like heavy on women being like leaders and sitting at the head of the table and being trailblazers. Like I'm just such a fan of women who have like, I don't know, like women who call the shots and women who are like, they're the ones that are making it happen, and it didn't take like a man to have to do that. And it's not to dispel like any work that men have done, but I think just coming up, I think that was one of the things that I struggled with. And I always knew that like, I'm going to do my own thing. Like I don't want to feel like I have to, I'm one of 5,078 people. Like I want to feel like I can, if I want an opportunity and I haven't been given it, I can curate it myself and for other people who might feel like me.
100.
And yeah, it just always felt like I had to either show up as male or I had to have my counterpart be male. And I think as the years have gone on, I think people's mindsets have changed, and I think there have been women who have been able to show like these things can happen with just solely women and a team of women. Like we don't need like BD energy in her for it to for it to like happen. But like when I was coming up, like it just felt really I don't know, like it just felt like I had to have a man come. I've got a meeting, can you come? No shit about what I'm about. Just the fact that you're just there sitting there is giving uncle the confidence. But because do you know what I mean? And it was just so annoying. And I think like it has changed. And I mean, there are some circumstances where like I feel like I have to be. But also I want to sit there and be like, hi. Do you know what I mean? And it's, I don't know, like it's just.
I agree, because I think in you saying about bringing a guy, I think it's like in society, like I don't know, I see it as like when I take my car to a mechanic, like the man them talk to me like I'm a dickhead, but then if I brought like my brother, it'd be like, oh, it's like £200 cheaper too. So it's like, ow, like, do you know what I mean? Like, like I feel like it is a societal thing. And just going off of what you said as well, Olu, is like, do you know what I find really great in is when you get that phone call, maybe it's just me, but you get that phone call, this is more so like a few years ago, but like they'd be like, oh, I really need a female to fill up the lineup, or like
oh my god, we all got that phone call.
Like I need the female to fill up the lineup, and like those kind of comments where it's like, are you like deep in what you're saying? Like, because if I said, oh, like Luke, I just need a man to fill up the lineup for battlers, do you know what I mean? Like it's just, I think just things like that grate me, because it comes back to the whole equality thing. And if you deep it, I feel like men are, and this is a great thing, it's not a bad thing, but men are accepted when doing everything, like even men in heels, like if we deep that as a style, like no one bats an eyelid. But then as soon as like I feel like a female wants to do up man them, it's like, oh yeah, like it's great, good for you.
Try.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like they get accepted a little bit more. And but I honestly just think it's a society thing. So it's hard to go against the grain and staying consistent and resilient, because if you look at like the top female choreographers, like maybe in the world, if you're looking at a more kind of like in the forefront, if you name the styles that they do, they would be considered more feminine. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if you look at the top male choreographers in the world, they're able to do every style and like choreograph on anyone. Does that make sense? Whereas like even if you look at Paris, for example, her predominant style is taken from dancehall. It's sexy, and she like, predominantly a lot of the dancers that she works with are commercial, and they come with a feminine energy. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if you look at like a male counterpart then and look at their work, it will be women, guys, like mixed gender. Do you know what I mean? It's like more included and not looked at as a thing of, oh, the guy's teaching the girl, whereas it's like the girl's teaching the guy, oh, maybe we should get like a male assistant to cater for it.
But don't you get that? Even, I mean, you may not, but like I think because of how I portray myself in how I dress, in how I dance, sometimes when I get asked to choreograph stuff, like if it's, I can do, listen, don't get it twisted. If you're watching this, if you're listening,
plug.
Don't be fooled by the new era cap and the scarf that I'm wearing. I can do both.
Bit closer to
I know I've had before, like someone asked me if I have an assistant who is able to do the woman version of what I might choreograph. Excuse me, do you know what I've choreographed already?
Yeah. Tell them the thing.
Were you in the room when I'm creating the movement?
Yeah.
So how do you know?
But that's what I'm saying.
Honestly, I was so taken aback, and I was so like, I didn't know whether to like laugh or to because I was like, so wait, you want me to hire an assistant who's gonna do the female version of what you think I'm gonna do? But you hired me.
No, but exactly. But that's the
so anyway. Even if I came with male thing and I say no, it's too late. I've already signed the thing. You have to pay me anyway. But honestly,
all these terms and conditions.
Like, do you know what I mean? And I was
Read
just
them
like,
closely.
whoa, like, yeah, I don't know. It's just, and it goes back to what Kloe was saying about like really being careful, because there are times of change and people who
100%,
gender fluidity, you know, and like, just because I present, so, like you just can't assume anymore.
You know what? I think it's just because how quick
Bummy.
everything is, and people like to assume quick. Like just assume quick. You look like this, you do this. I don't know, it just baffles me, because I wanted to ask what you guys were saying, that for me, like my struggle is like when I grew up in like this hip hop energy, a little bit masculine, but I love it. Like I was passionate about it, I feel good about it. And then I came to UK and I started realizing, like, if I want to work as a dancer, then suddenly there's so many things that are expected of me. You know what I mean? As a female, you have to present yourself, be able to dance sexy, have a power, strength, then be able to execute choreography. Then if you want to do more ambitious stuff, like what I love, then train there. But remember this first part, remember about like how to, you know, makeup and all this jazz. And I was like, I was really lost for a long time of like, how am I going to juggle the fact that I don't necessarily feel like this is me, but at the same time part of me wants to do that job, so I have to kind of like follow. And it was just a constant battle within myself. But it's the same as you, Kloe, said. I think the older you get, the more you realize that the strength is within you. Unfortunately, I think that it comes with age, with like understanding yourself and everything. But people still love to put me in a box. That's why I like to do occasional like heels choreo or whatever, or like go to a class to show people like,
Just so you know.
It's even like for my personal fun, you know what I mean? And it's like I'm a firm believer of like, you're going to be in spaces, or you're going to get things that are meant for you. So I'm never like, no, I should be there, like this is what I should get. Like if I'm not there, it's fine. Like I'm not supposed to be there. Something else is meant for me. Some other doors are opening in the same time, you know? But it's just kind of like this little conversation of like filling up the female lineup, or you know, kind of like, can you do something girly, are you sure? That's just there's just so many different things, or like assuming I'm a lesbian sometimes as well.
I get that. I get that as well. I mean, if you got the right money, I can be what you want me to be. You know what I mean?
Let me tell you something.
If I see the zero, it's
The cost of living is here now. If you show me the right,
I can be what you like.
I can be
until the
London living
contract ends.
crisis.
I can be. Okay, composure. Love that.
Luke's trying to hold in his laugh. I love it.
Okay, let's take that away. Send it back. Serious question coming. That's actually for you ladies, but I think for everyone, to be fair, because Kloe and Olu, you ran female dance companies, and you, Gabby, I know you like doing 2v2 with the females as well. You have your studio as well. How does it feel, and what do you love about this? What's so special about being like a strong female group?
I think, the reason why, so I started my Soft UK dance when I was 18, and for me, the reason why I started it is I was dancing with loads of crews at the time, as you do as a teenager, just everyday rehearsal. And I was like, even the girl crews that were around at the time were run by men, and I was like, wait a second, how is this working? And like a lot of the crews I was in, I felt like the females of us in the crew weren't at the forefront a lot of the time. We weren't thought as to be like, oh yeah, you can do this routine, you know what I mean? You had to prove yourself to do the routines and stuff. And I thought, I just want to create a space where we don't have that pressure, because I found a lot of my peers that I knew, Olu being one of them, like I'd see them freestyle like on the side or something, or like I'll see something like outside of the crew and be like, wow, they don't do this in the room, like what is going on? And trying to create a space where women feel safe to show their true self and make mistakes, I think is a big thing. I think as a female, and something I've just noticed working with a lot of women is, especially when we're around men, there's like a safety mechanism where we're just not going to try it because we don't want to do it wrong, or like we won't want to take those risks. And that's not for everyone, but I've just experienced it a lot. Whereas I think men are great at going like, I'm just going to jump on my head. If it works, it doesn't. Like, do you know what I mean? They don't really care. And I find that creating a space for women is so different. And I wanted to be able to learn that and understand that, to be able to empower women to do their best and be able to be their true selves. And I think that in doing that, like even now, just looking at some of the young or still young women that have come up out of the company, like seeing like Cece Namar, and seeing like loads of just different women that have come through the company. Even Jasmine Rakes is doing like oh my god, what's the show called, the burlesque one? Cabaret. She's in that. Like just seeing all of the women come up and just see how they've taken, not just me, they've had many people, but just taken that space and just gone, yeah, okay, I'm going to use this as my catapult to then build myself. I think it's so rewarding. And I've always been like that, because I think there's certain females, especially, like I love Off Corinthia at the moment. Like if you hear this, sit your hold, bruv. Like just certain women in the scene where you see them doing their thing, but like they're not like in the foreground, like doing this. And I just want to empower those women to just keep doing you and stepping forward even more, so as much as you can, because we're needed. Like you're needed, man, for sure.
Yes.
I know. I think being able to birth more women who are also able to lead in this industry was something that I was passionate about. But I also think like curating a space that was accommodating of the woman experience and being able to curate a space that like was considerate of that without like compromising the level of training, but that was understanding of it, I think was something that I really wanted to do. We spoke about like periods, but then there's it goes, so there's endometriosis, there's fibroids, there's so you know much, like there's things with our hair, like when we get stressed, like there's just so many different layers that sometimes, I'm not saying that like our male counterparts don't consider that, but I think there's a level of understanding I think that comes with when you're in a space with everyone in the room being the same gender, like all women, that I think there's a level of empathy that comes with it that I just really wanted to create for other people. And similar to Kloe, like I think being able to create a space that women could use to catapult themselves, like same, like I don't, most people know, like Lauren Scott, like I mean, but like there's just so many women that are just like doing the thing, and I'm just so proud that I have like a small like little chunk of that, and I get to see like 32 amazing women that in 10 years, like I know that I have helped cultivate and train 32 women that are going to fuck it up.
Well, can I just say that I think Olu's probably trained about 1,250 because if everyone knew how many groups Olu's had,
oh my
and how long she's been dancing for, I just want to just amend the number.
And how many shows?
Amend the number. Just add like loads of zeros onto the end.
I want to know how many steps you choreographed in your life. Oh my.
Her steps app will be going off, bruv.
Yeah, I don't know, like but that being said, I have like at some point like brought in men that I really respect and admire, and men who I know are tapped in like to the women experience. So yeah, like I have like collaborated with men, but in terms of like the space that I curate, like it's women all day, every day. Wherever you identify, you was born that way. Women and Olu combined. Where have you been? Like I don't know, like there's just something about like when women dance and just when they walk life, whatever they do, like that, I'm just like, yeah, man, I agree. This, like when they're pregnant, when they give birth, when they like whatever it is, like it's just so I just think women are just the most beautiful species like ever, and whatever they do, like it's just beautiful. And I'm proud that I have like a small snippet of that that I can say that I've built and I've curated. Shout out Kloe, because I also was in I was in the spin-off of Myself.
We went Vegas.
We went Vegas
We did up HHI before any of you, man.
Do you know what I mean?
We did up HHI back a day.
Yeah, and like I've met some amazing women that I still to today have a relationship with. Kloe being one of them, Jade Hackett, like Tally,
big up,
like
big up.
Just Charlene Willits, Mira. Like there's just so many women that like I get to watch. Like whenever I feel like, am I still popping? Like, do I still slap?
Like, remind yourself.
Do you know what I mean? Like, is it giving?
Yeah.
Is it still giving?
Yeah.
And like when I just see like, and everyone is so different.
Yeah.
Like,
That part.
can I just say, since Chloe's here, that like, just the journey and the lane that you've managed to create for yourself, and knowing like you from 16.
Yeah, like 15, I think it's 15. Yeah,
As a whole human being.
Yeah,
That's
dancing.
human being,
And just seeing like how you've navigated and where you are now, like even though we say like are in the commercial space, but I think having someone like you in that space, I don't know if you realize how fucking sick that is.
Oh, thank you.
Like honestly,
Thank
like
you.
every time I see you post like a job that you've done or like this person that you're choreographing for, and you haven't like sacrificed your integrity as a dance artist and who you are as a mover, like I just find it so amazing.
Thank you.
To me, because it could like nothing against like like people who work in the commercial industry because they're fucking it up. Book me.
Yeah, they're doing it.
But like I think when you see one of us, do you know what I mean? Like
100
being in that space, it's just amazing.
Thank you.
And like I would have never, like in the beginning, I actually would have said that she would never. She would hate it. No, but like you actually like brought yourself and who you are and what you've learned from like the amalgamation of different people that you've met, and you brought it into and now I feel like people are trying to emulate that because they know it's a vibes. It's the vibes. And I just honestly like I have to
thank you. That
give
means a
the
lot.
flowers because
thank you.
it's and it makes me feel like I ain't gotta change shit. Like I'm just gonna carry on doing what the hell I'm.
But you're doing that. What do you mean? I look up to you, bro. So,
but
like,
yeah,
I'm looking up to you.
it's just amazing. Like, and I think it's important to give like people their flowers.
Thank you. I really appreciate. Thank you, Ola. Like Olu, because there's like I feel like we're sisters secretly, like from back in the day.
Even our birthdays.
Yeah,
like a few days apart,
yeah. And I just think like I've got pictures as well, proof.
I've got proof. I'll bring out the pictures.
When you were posting,
I know it's coming.
Yeah, please.
It's coming. It's coming. No, but on a real, like I was saying, like with Olu as well, like I think in this day and age, because of social media, it only shows like part of someone's story and like a part of someone's life. I think especially in the scene, we don't get to like deep all the people we interact with and like the weight of their journey. And I feel like people do know with you, Olu, because I think you're very transparent. But I also want to give you flowers because like from watching you and seeing you when I first met you, you're someone that's impacted me wildly, probably beyond that, more than you know, in terms of having a female of color as well to look up to, who just like Olu, was moving around the town, like literally killing off everyone, like and the one thing I love about you is that Olu's never shied away from being like and I mean this in a good way, like a sponge, like learning everything, like even the fact that you're advocating African styles and doing it properly, and that trajectory and how you've changed in terms of building into that space and cultivating a culture, like again, like not just as a female, as a person, as an artist, like you're absolutely killing it. And like man don't do Afro yet, but if I'm going to anyone, I'm going to you in it. So
I'm waiting. Did you say me as well?
I was in one class. You don't remember?
We coming.
Dare you not remember?
That one? No, I'm just kidding. I had a great time. I was really rubbish.
but literally, that's on a real.
Come on.
That's what I'm saying, bro. I'm waiting for you lot, man.
No, but literally, like,
No, thank you.
and
I
you're doing
appreciate
that
that.
commercial world as well. So you're doing your thing.
Thank
and
you.
it's,
Everyone
it's
is finding their
incredible.
own spaces,
Yeah.
you know. Which is great.
Yeah, yes, it's needed.
Yeah.
That's good.
Taking over the world
Anything to add?
bit by bit.
Few more spaces.
No, I think it's just amazing that we have two very strong examples in this room who opens doors and proves that the dreams can be achieved. So,
All right, then.
Thank you.
and
Sign
I
up.
think like you asked about dancing with women and
Yeah.
like battling with women, etc. So one thing to say about that, which is going to be quite shallow, but when I rock up with someone for 2 versus 2, and we're 2 short girls, no one think that we will slap, and then we kill everyone.
So
That's
we
it.
win.
But and that's the good thing.
And then we
because,
take the
like,
receipts.
Thank you. Good but sad because they assume that you can't do shit, but then you prove them wrong very fast, and that's very nice.
like ninjas. That's so sick.
So that's the only shallow thing I have to mention.
Oh, but I
I
love
really
that.
like
though.
it.
I don't think that's shallow. I think
don't
that's
think it's
sick.
shallow. It's
You're like ninjas, man. Just come up in the thing. Oh yeah, we're sweet. Haha. Bang. Literally. I love that. I'm live for that.
Bang. What'd you say now?
Literally.
I love that. Okay, so I want to also, because there is a thing that I observe nowadays that, yes, there are like a lot of women stepping into their power, a lot of people growing, like taking that ownership of things that they do. But I do believe there's a lot of women that are apologetic, like are like on the other side of the spectrum, you know, like quite like not being able to step into that power, that energy, that kind of like rather like stay back, lean back, you know. Have you ever felt that way? And if you never, because I know you, we just kind of like going forward, what would you advise to these women? What would your advice would be? That's English kind of.
First and foremost, I think like super transparent, I still experience that. Like I go
Yep.
through it myself. I think it depends on the energy. I'm a big energy person. And I feel like I fall into the, I guess, apologetic energy sometimes to try and get someone down a level in terms of being on the same page. So I think I'd do it automatically, but then find a space where they would, and I'd do this, I think, subconsciously, where I realize, oh my God, okay, I don't need to apologize for these things. Or they might even say it. But I think it's because I come from, the way that I was raised was always about manners and like being very clear about saying your please, and which sounds really simple, but your please, your thank yous, and kind of in a, if I'm being super deep, but like in a space to not be a bother. And I've had to like unlearn that not being a botherness, which is where I think the apologeticness lies in that. And it's not even in a way where like I don't think I'm good. It's actually the opposite, in a sense of like sometimes I feel like I don't want to be a bother because actually, you know what, I can just go away and make this for you and it will be sick, like, and I don't want to keep like getting at someone or needing so much. So it's something that I've had to definitely unlearn and still unlearning, but something that has helped me is to observe. If you can't observe the way that you speak and like track back to what you've kind of experienced, then this is going to sound wild, but look at your emails and how you write your emails.
Interesting.
So yeah, so I think a good place to start is like observe your sent folder and see how you write your emails. And I've started to monitor mine like time ago in terms of like how many times I say, hi, thank you so much for your email. Don't want to be a bother, but could we get an extra day's rehearsal? Oh, but if you can't, then don't worry about it. Like, and then just deleted everything and gone, hi, hope you're well. I need an extra day. Thanks.
Well done.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So like, and I'm just being
Well
transparent. Like, and it gets harder if you're from that background. And I know there's a lot of women that are. it gets harder in the bigger spaces you step into. So if you're working with that said artist that you used to listen to back in school, and then now you're in their studio like working alongside them, you're naturally gonna feel like a bit of like a whoa, like I don't want to lose this opportunity, which is where I think the apologeticness and the I want to say the reasoning for you being there comes into play. And I think it's about trying to go against that and observe the way that you present yourself and the way that you emails are a huge thing, man. Like
that's a good
don't overlook
practice.
So
like that's a very tangible thing that you can do.
So good.
Yeah, honestly, in general, from a producer's perspective, please remove all the unnecessary words in the email because also it's funny, but like people respect you less if you are very like apologetic and you try to be nice. But and also like I think that we as women are convinced that we are expected to be nice. But honestly, the moment I'm like direct, straight to the point, people are like, you're right. I'm like, yes, I am. I'm just communicating directly. I need this done. And people get intimidated. But then at least they act instead of just, ignoring my emails sometimes.
Yeah. I think I had to first become comfortable with who I was in terms of like my successes, my accolades, because I think like a few times I feel like it felt like imposter syndrome. It felt like, oh my God, it's a bit too big for me. No, it's not. So I had to become like comfortable with it. And I feel like people romanticize humility like a lot, but like toxic humility, I think I'm gonna call it. Like I feel like people romanticize it and like people love the idea of someone who is really successful but they are accessible and they, like what you said, like they always come down to someone's level. And I feel like people like the idea. People don't like when people are like they're direct and they're like, this is what I need. And it doesn't mean that you're being rude or anything, but I think because as a woman you're literally what you said, like you're expected to be nice, and because the mothering energy, and that's cute and stuff, but like I still need stuff done. So I think I had to become really comfortable with that, and I had to do a lot of like inner work to really be, even accepting like compliments and stuff was quite difficult for me sometimes, because there was a period where like I didn't think that I deserved some of the not now though.
Give them all to me.
But there was a period where like I just thought like some of the things that I was getting, some of the flowers that I was getting, like that I wasn't like deserving of it. So then that humility, it just came like being apologetic and being like, oh my God, you're so oh no, stop it. Stop. No, I'm shy. No. Like I don't know, like I had to do a lot of like internal work to dispel all of that, because it's not I don't know, it's not a nice feeling, even though like you instinctively do it, but like it's not a nice, because then after you go home and you look in the mirror and you're like, Olu, why did you do that? But the email thing that you said, like I used to do that so much. Hey, this is how my emails used to start. Hi, hope you're well and hope you had a lovely weekend.
Bears.
Hope you had a lovely weekend. Just wondering if you were able to send me I don't know the schedule that I asked for last week. I know you're busy, like I get it. Like I'm so sorry that I keep bugging you, but like I really need it because my rehearsal start in 30 minutes.
Do you know what I mean? Like
sorry to bother you. I need it in 30 minutes, but do you know what I mean? Like
just to live, but it's okay, don't worry.
Just like tiptoeing around. Meanwhile, I'm like my anxiety is on 10. Like and I like that is such a like you hit the nail on the head with that one. But whereas now, like you said, all the I hope you had a lovely weekend, like how the kids, like how
there's a time and place in it.
Remove.
No, I agree. But I do think there's like, but I also want to disclaimer that I don't think the total opposite is also acceptable, because I think there's a toxic trait in the industry of like someone is a good leader, director, choreographer if they're just cussing all the time. No. And I just that really upsets me, because I do think there can be a balance. Like I enjoy being, I hope, somewhat nice and like making people feel good when they leave a process.
No, for sure.
Whereas I have been in experiences where like either directors have like been like, oi, like choreographer, and I'm like, okay,
Oi.
let's talk about that. Like, and just certain situations where people are just known to be like that, and everyone's like, oh, that's Jimmy,
And it's
like
acceptable,
he's just like that. And I'm just like, I just don't think that's acceptable. So I think there's finding a middle ground where you're not getting taken for an idiot, but you're not also gonna like leave people going to therapy after they've done a job with you. Do you know what I mean? Because that happens.
Yeah. No,
That
yeah,
happens.
It does. I've met people who they have done.
And like people I'm passionate about it because I know some incredibly talented dancers who don't dance anymore because of certain situations where you're like, if you watch that person dance, you'd be like, why are they like, and everyone has their own journey, but like, why are they working in Tesco's and they are like, do you know what I mean? They're an incredible performer, but and then you have that conversation with them and you're like,
I get it.
wow.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So I think it's important how you treat people, but also monitoring how you are treated and taken. It's really important.
I feel like a lot of times, because I wanted to also say that I feel like as women, we are apologetic because of certain fears that we have. And I feel like in these situations in jobs, we also have a fear, right? Because like they're going to think something about us, we're going to get fired, yada, yada, yada. And I feel like, again, fear, false evidence appearing real. You know, we already kind of imagining what might happen. Whereas like director, whoever, Beyonce, they're a human being, you know? They were birthed the same way.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And it's just kind of like no one is above you, underneath you. We're all on the same level. So no matter what, like let's treat each other as human beings, you know, kindness first. That's what with the emails as well. Kindness. And I think like if we step in with kindness, that's our first step. Yeah. The rest will follow. 100%. You know, everyone is going to feel good. Everyone's going to, you know, have a good experience. Everyone's going to give their best. Because if you feel good, you do better. 100%. We have to stop thinking that you have to bash people to the ground to make them do better. Psychologically, whoa, that was not wait, I can say this. Wait, psychologically, thank you. Psychologically, it's proven that you do better when you feel good. When you like, yes, like feedback sometimes is good, but when you have someone says something good, you will do better. The motivation comes, like it's literally proven. So I think we have to be mindful of that. And I don't know why we as women like hold that fear, like, and I think it's the inner work that we go through at some point to go through. But what would you then, let's take it a step further, what if we have women that are afraid to shine? Because there is so many amazing women. I'm sure you can name at least 5 on top of your head that you just feel like they could shine so bright, but they still like they hold themselves back for some reason.
I think sometimes in dance we underestimate. I think because we dance, we're happy, whatever. I think people forget the mental health side of dance that you have to actively like keep in check as well. And yeah, that includes things like, you know, undermining yourself and not thinking you're deserving. Yes, we come in to rehearsals, training, we get a job, we book jobs and it's all cool. But like, it's so easy to forget like that this and this like also needs training. And it also, do you know what I mean? Like it also needs like work. And it's very easy like to fall into, you know, what you just said. So yeah, like for me with that, I think that's just my opinion. I think that's holistic work that people need to do with that. It's not just about like, oh, the more shows you do and maybe if you're positioned at the front, like you'll get used to. For some people, yes, that might work. But I feel like if the internal of a dancer like is not where it should be, it doesn't really matter how many times you tell them that they're sick and oh my God, but you're so sick. Like you could do, like, it doesn't matter. Like if they don't believe it, then it really doesn't matter. So for me, not to take it so far and so deep, but I just feel like sometimes we forget like do you know what I mean, like the work that we also, because dance is such a vulnerable all art forms are, but I just feel like with dance, like you're so exposed in many different ways that it can manifest itself in your body and in your mind in ways that you don't realize until it's sometimes too late. So I just think for me, the answer to your question is, I think that I would look more on the holistic side of like, what does that look like internally for me and mentally for me.
Amen.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Like, I just wanted to say that I especially see this maybe in freestyle training, where people hit the ceiling and they can't push through with physical training. And we usually think that like drilling more, staying more in the studio, training every day. You hit a ceiling and then you need to deal with your mental shit. Like you need to see like where you're limiting yourself, where you're not believing, etc. I'm going through this for a few years now. But the thing
Can I just say that you're sick? But go on.
Thanks.
You're so sick.
But basically, sometimes I felt like I improved much more without training physically and just mentally marinating on like, okay, so where do I want to be? Like, how do I want to feel? Do I really want to be here if I'm suffering all the time? Like, if I am, let's say, like on this job and I'm constantly mentally suffering, like, and not because of other people, but because I bash myself down and I like do this to myself and I press myself to the ground. Because I'm like, I'm not good enough to be here. Like, work needs to be done, as you say. So it's like, it's to the same, but just to feed in that like some of the processes need to happen internally, and they really do. And they're still happening for me. So when I come out on the other side, maybe I will never come out on the other side. The work needs to be done continuously, probably.
I think you'll come out on a different side.
Yeah,
100%.
exactly.
Constantly, I think as well, you know, because it's such a constant thing, especially in arts. But that's why we created We Grow 360.
That's what I wanted to say. Because like physical training, we have that.
Yes.
We don't have a lot of mental training. We don't have resilience sometimes. In the body, in the mind, no.
I think that's so important. And do you know what? I think it lies in exposure in two senses. One is, say if someone dances in their bedroom for the like 10 years, they've never danced outside. They don't know any other feeling other than dancing in their bedroom. But when you take that said person and put them in a club, for example, and then there could be one of two things that happens. People are like, oh my God, they're amazing. Or the opposite would be like people talking about them or whatever. Do you know what I mean? There's no exposure to these new energies to be able to experience what that next step is for that person. And I think it's also having the conversations where like, say, I don't know, I feel like, oh my God, if I post this thing, people are going to hate it. And then I see Olu post something similar and then realize, oh my God, she posted it. So that means I can post something. Do you know what I mean? Like having the exposure that other people can share that it's possible, I think is really important. And also being honest and transparent about what we all go through. Because like you could watch someone like, for me, like Sunny as a b-boy is like incredible. But like I'm sure if you had a conversation with him, which I've done like years ago, but like if you had a conversation with him, he'll probably tell you the things he goes through, do you know what I mean, before he goes on stage or before he does a round. And I've had said conversations with certain people that you would like, even artists like that I work with who are getting this award, that award, are going through stuff the same way that we are. Like everyone is experiencing similar things, but I think because we're not talking about it as much and we only see one side of someone's journey, that in itself can be really detrimental to someone who is trying to just get out of their bedroom, do you know what I mean, and step outside. So I think the more that we can share both sides of our stories, I think it can really inspire and empower people to do that. I think
there is like a shift online. I've heard about it somewhere that things are shifting, and the vulnerable content is something that people are seeking for now, which I'm very happy about. Very happy, because me and posting, like there's one thing I put into my brain that really helped me. Like whenever I post, I think you never know who you might inspire. It might get less likes. Might get those 3 likes instead of 300. But maybe one of these 3 people is going to be like, yo, listen, like I needed to read it. I needed to see it.
Exactly.
I just needed it. And I'm like, great.
But and that said post, I don't think people deep content as well, because I'm starting to do it more and understand it more. But like, say you did that said post, you had 3 likes, Bob commented and said you're sick, whatever. Like, but then 2 years later, it gets picked up. Do you know what I mean? It goes viral. Like, you should never underestimate the quality of what you're sharing, especially if it's honest and that it's not just for show, because everything has its season and it might not be your season right now. But I assure you, if you stay consistent, resilient, and keep showing up, your season will come through, like 100%, like tenfold.
I think we all are guilty of like posting something and be like, delete.
Yeah.
Because you like the fear is just like,
Yeah, because I think just tracking back to what you said about like the people who are scared of shining. I think with shine comes so many arrays of different things, like the expectations. Are you going to be better than the last show like that you did? And the attention that comes with shine, the good and the bad, like the positive comments,
It's
the
always
not
a
so
layer.
positive. Yeah. And with social media now as well, like I think people are more so, I'm not surprised that people are more so scared because you can't really like control like what people are gonna, if you post something, like you do have to kind of accept that you're gonna get some good, and if you're lucky, everybody loves you and it's hunky-dory and it's great. But
there
like,
is always someone. If your post gets viral, there's always something.
So I think like in the day and age that we're in, like social media more so, although like I think it's an incredible tool for everyone, but for artists specifically. But I think that can also amplify people's fear of like shining, because I feel like everything now is on social media. CV, what CV?
What is CV?
Which
My
CV?
Instagram tag.
CV where? Do you know how much effort I put into my CV?
Yeah,
my
same.
CV is beautiful.
Yeah.
People sometimes ask for it.
Which
So I'm like,
which CV? Can you just send me your Instagram link?
Yeah, it's wild. That's wild.
So you don't want to see my CV now? So, no, I don't. Send me your Instagram. But yeah, like I think
you know what I would say to this, and what kind of helps me? Keep learning keep learning. And not only dance, keep learning. Because the more you learn, the more you understand, for example, them trolls and like what kind of person does it. And it's just, you detach yourself, because you the more you learn, the more understanding you have for life, for people, for everything, the more composure you can keep. Because you start understanding that it's just like whatever someone's projecting doesn't have to affect you. And it takes so much time to like actually think about it. But it really does help me. Like it really does. Like I have so much, I'm trying, like it's hard, but just so much empathy that grows in your head. And kind of like, yes, we have our own reactions and perspective on life and everything, but the more you learn, the more you can kind of like see, even question yourself, why am I reacting like this? Where's that feel coming from? Oh, okay. Like you just get more understanding of self, of others, and I think it's just become more grounded in this whole shebang. Because I think the more agitated we get, the more scared we get, the more like we kind of take ourselves back because we don't understand something just doesn't work. So the more knowledge you seek, the more everything will grow. So that's why we Grow 360 is about it. Just kind of like seek knowledge on everything around us, not necessarily just physical. Learn about how you work, learn about how other work. Just learn. Like get yourself back a little bit to the educational stage of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I also think what holds some women back is that we see amazing examples, but they're so far ahead of us. And then
part of journey.
Yes, exactly. And then if we start a comparison game, then should I even start? And I know quite many women who like operate based on their feelings more than like, let's say they create a plan and stick to it. And I think like that's what I really learned from like my men mentors who were like, okay, so where do you want to go? Okay, let's track back. Like, how do you get there? Like, what's the plan? Like, how are you getting there? And then stick to the plan instead of like, because yes, we do doubt ourselves, all of us. But I think sometimes as like women as well, we really like sit in that feeling of like, of not being maybe good enough and questioning everything. But if we like break things down, seek knowledge step by step, we will head there. 5 years from now, we will look back, we'll be like, damn, went far away.
It's perspective as well. Like, because, and even comparing yourself to people online. Like, you're not deep in that person's story, like their journey.
100%.
Like said, like Julie had parents that had a dance studio, so my girl Julie was training from, do you know what I mean, young in the studio, do you know what I mean, free studio space. Like, you don't really deep sometimes people's journeys, and it's not that it's a bad thing, but you automatically just think, oh, I can't if they,
and
do you know
it's
what I mean?
awesome that everyone has a different journey. It's so awesome. We don't appreciate like how valuable that is.
100%.
Like, no, my journey was worse. No, your journey's unique, you know?
Yeah.
Your journey's unique. So there's also a really important topic that I want to make sure we mention, and is safeguarding. And I just want to know how you feel about it currently, about the spaces and what we can do better to protect women in certain spaces.
This is a women-dominated but men-led industry, I think, dance, because many men hold power positions, and I think they should be very aware that they hold those power positions. That's it. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah, I mean, what can we do? What can we do to make that happen?
I am definitely the annoying, I think, because I work in like educational institutions as well, and like across my journey I've also like worked with kids and like vulnerable adults, and so I think when it comes to safeguarding, my eyes are like this and my ears are like this, and so I try and be as aware like as possible, but I think what Gab said is very correct. Like, I feel like a lot of men also need to know the positions that they hold, and it's not just women that need to care about it. Like, we all need to care about the safety of women, as we do need to care about the safety of children, as we need to care about the safety of the men in our industry. I think safeguarding just as a whole like needs to happen. But since we're talking specifically about women, and especially with like recent affairs, which we don't even need to go into in the world, I mean, it's just awareness, isn't it? Like, it's just like, what is safeguarding? You know, like, what does that look like? Because I feel like people interpret it in different ways, and it means different things like to different people. Like, some people could be like, could just place it off of like visual, like, they look fine, so it's fine. Do you know what I mean? Some people are very like specific, where like they know like what the little hand signals mean. They know like the winks. They know, do you know what I mean? They understand body language. Like they know about the frequency in the voice. Okay, it's changed. I know that it means that. So I think, we probably should. What is safeguarding? Like, I think, do we know what that is?
I think it's about context in terms of what setting you're talking about. Like, similar to Olu, I've grown up, I started teaching at 15 and started teaching at school, in schools and stuff, and from a young age I knew, like, obviously you had to have a CRB check, and you know all the things that you need to have in place in terms of being in like an educational setting. But then I think a good conversation that has been had, and I think still needs to be had, is looking at the dance scene, because a lot of people create crews that are not like business technically legit, like they're made as a crew, do you know what I mean? So you have a leader, you go to rehearsals, but there's not, and I think it's got so much better now, but I think back in the day when we was dancing, like there wasn't a code of conduct or like a safeguarding officer that you speak to, and do you know what I mean? And I think a lot of things went amiss. So I think it's looking at the context of what you're stepping into, and realizing what's on offer in the space. And I think it's harder as a young person because you're probably not educated in knowing, unless you have that school setting, obviously you have that, you know that. But if you're going into a crew that hasn't got those things set up, I think those are the spaces that can start to get a bit techie. I think dance events as well, like we do a lot of dance events, and I see a lot of young people, and I mean young dancers, coming in like training with like someone like 3 times their age or twice their age, and it's like it's hard, you know, like we all can't police every single thing that's going on. But I think if there's an understanding, I think it's about building an understanding and a culture of that, like this doesn't happen, this shouldn't happen, and this is what we should do, if that makes sense. But I haven't experienced that has grown yet or been built yet. I think from said like situations that have been brought up in the public and people talking about personal stories and certain I want to say survivors of situations that have been brought to the surface can be a space of case study to like learn from in terms of how we can move forward. But I think it's a very techie situation. Like, for example, like going onto a set that, like, say you're doing, I don't know, a commercial or a film, really and truly they should have the right protocol set up for everyone in the workspace to feel safe. Whether that's a phone number you call or a certain, again, safeguarding officer that you go to or someone that looks after that. So I think it's a wild kind of techie
it's such
space.
a big subject, because then there's also like the thing of like, when do you, if you observe a safeguarding issue, for instance, like when do you step in? Can you step in? And there's also safeguarding of self, like, as well.
100%.
So it's like, do I or do I not? And it's that bystander effect as well. So there's just so many like things that come into play. I mean, I'm gonna keep it a buck. Like the hood side of me, like the safeguarding certificate said who's the safeguarding officer. Like if I'm, do you know what I mean? Like you said, context as well. Like if you observe like a scenario, like do you act in professionalism?
No,
or do you like punch someone in the gut? Do you know, save someone, like just keeping it real. Like with film sets and stuff, like I think the expectation
would
like
be
is that
Yeah.
you know, and like if you have an agent or whoever, like those things like should be included in your contract, and you should know, you know, like who is who. But I think with crews and like groups, like I think it's so easily missed.
100%.
Like so easily missed. And I don't think anyone starts a crew with the intention of
No.
And I also don't think that anyone's like, when they start a crew, all safeguarding. Like I genuinely don't think.
Let's just put it like on paper, for example. Like there's a crew. There's a crew. There's a male leader. What are the no-goes? If you could like list what it's like for you, that doesn't
well, I
fly.
think you just got to talk about age. So what ages do you have in your company? I think if you're working with like
16.
Okay, so like
16.
Yeah, I would say that it's hard, you know, because I can totally be like contradicting, but I think from my experience, and if I could go back, I probably would have done things like slightly different in my own experience. But I think things like someone training with you for, like, say 2 hours, it doesn't mean that 16-year-old then goes to your house after, or like goes, do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I think certain boundaries need to be set. But in saying that at the same time, it's hard because, for example, there might be like a 16-year-old that wants to go to a battle. The only way they're going to get to that battle is if you take them. Does that make sense? So then in that sense, how are you going to take, if you're that choreographer, how do you take that responsibility on as if it's like your child? Do you know what I mean?
I do believe there's a difference though, like coming to someone's house and
oh
doing
my gosh,
like a battle setting.
But that's what I'm saying, like showing a context and a boundary setting. But I do think it's hard because I just know so many scenarios and situations that have happened to me or happened to others where like those boundaries haven't been set. So it's been really,
and it happens so quick.
Yeah,
like, you know,
those boundaries haven't been set.
Let's just go back to my quickly, like we can just, like, and before you know it, it's like you just it's hard. But
I can
also,
personally,
I feel like in the day and age that we're in, it cannot be hard.
No, like now, 100%.
It cannot be hard. Like nuances in choreography, consent with don't
consent with touch is a big thing.
Like all of those things. I'm really sorry, but I know it sounds like, okay, it's a bit much. No, it's not.
No, but I always ask, like, are you okay with me?
Yeah.
Like, and it doesn't take away from anything time, and it's like you
At
save,
all.
you know,
at all. And I think
thing,
choreographers need to, like in a dance group setting, like I think choreographers need to also take more responsibility with like who is in their team. Okay, you're rehearsing till 11 p.m, for instance. Like the rehearsal finishes, what is your next move?
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's going home.
Yeah.
What's your next move?
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, no.
Do you know what I mean? Like those little things, like it can't, it's not 2011 anymore. Like those things that we thought, like we normalized, that we went through, because I did as well.
Yeah,
I did. I finished when I was like 12. Bye, everybody go home. Finish. No one's texting me to say, oh, did you get, do you know what I mean? But that in 2024, like I just feel like we can't use that
as an excuse
anymore.
Yeah,
like
100.
for me, it's like a non-negotiable. Like you should be checking, like you should be aware. You've got a show away in Germany and you've got to take the whole crew there. Their parents can't come. What's your next move? Like those things.
What are you
for me,
hiring to help you do
they
this,
have to be absolutely considered. You do an audition, you're happy to accept 14 onwards. So now you've now put yourself in a position where
you should have those things.
You don't mind having because you've probably seen 14-year-old who are killing it, fucking it up, right? And you're like, all right, cool, I've got. So that age between 14 and 17 like is a delicate age. What's your next move?
But that's I think that, but then it comes to I think it comes to down to business education, because it is a business at the end of the day. If you're crossing hands with money as well, if you're paying subs, if you're paying like to do a session, do you know what I mean? It's a business. And I think the one thing I think we overlook, and I think that's why sometimes a lot of things have kind of gone amiss, is a lot of choreographers started young themselves.
Yeah.
So there's like 16-year-olds teaching 11-year-olds. And that 16-year-old ain't gonna know like the ins and outs of a business or a setup or model of how a company should be run, unless they've got some great mentors and people around them. So I think it's maybe how can we take responsibility as maybe an industry or a scene to like kind of look out for those things and flag point and be like, okay, Johnny, like you've got a crew, like who like runs it with you, or just asking the questions and not like investigating, but just trying to have an interest and an understanding of what's going on, so that we can be of support, so there isn't those situations where you're like it's too late because something's already happened.
I think there's just so much responsibility in a choreographer teacher nowadays. It's just easy to step into this roles because you can decide it and suddenly you are a choreographer teacher. But I think like it's just remembering the responsibility. And I don't know who's gonna listen to this, but I encourage to not put 16-year-olds in pom pom shorts.
Can we talk about putting 9-year-olds in shorts? Because as in like that 16 to me is not a shocker. It's when I go to like a lot of dance competitions and I don't even know if it's like they know, but just like
I
young
would
kids.
not go out.
Yeah, exactly. I just think that it's happening for like all ages. Like it's actually scary.
I've had people say that they've tried to play the culture card with me before. Listen, I don't give a heck.
Hold on.
What can we just talk about? What said culture?
What culture though?
Like what culture?
So okay.
Oh,
so the context that they were using was it was a dancehall song, but if you take away the dancehall song, you're still in pom pom shorts and you're still. But I think it was more magnified because you're in shorts and you're dancing to.
If Kids Bop ain't doing a Vibes Cartel version of the song, then I don't know why.
Yeah, so it was like
that song.
but the dancehall culture.
That's wild.
Yeah, and it's kind of I found it to be a little bit disrespectful.
a little bit.
Yeah, now you're trying
because you're blaming it on a culture. Yeah, basically.
So then it was like, but then you're basically saying that like the culture is bad.
No,
wow.
So that's what I mean. It's that's all out of context.
Yeah, that just has to go out of the window. Sorry, like just take out the pom pom shorts.
But I know there's a company that I work with. I won't say who it is, but they've had some stick recently about their young women. In videos in like just crop tops, just like not like bras, just like showing belly. And I just find it interesting because we had a conversation and they were like, but it's hard because obviously as a young person, and I can relate to it as a young person, I was quite similar, like it's a form of expression, like of how you want to dress, and it might not be like you're still growing in it, so what you think might look good may not run for other people. But do you know what I mean? Because there's been moments where I've been like in something, and I look back and I'm like,
Oh, we
what
all,
did I think I looked like? Do you know what I mean? So I think it's hard because it's like, how do you find that balance? And I think it's about influence. I do think it's about influence. In terms of, I bet said like 16-year-old in the Batty Riders has probably seen her friend in Batty Riders. No, but I'm saying, like, do you know what I mean? Or they've seen someone online like in Batty Riders and gone, oh, maybe to dance hall I have to wear
But
this.
there had to be a teacher that said, yeah, that looks great.
Yeah, well, boy.
Then what about the people that think you're then policing?
Exactly that. Yeah. That's hard. Yeah.
I think in age wise, I don't care if you think you're call me the FBI, but that it doesn't. I'm really sorry. 9, 10, 11. Yes, I'm policing. Okay.
Yeah, no.
But I
100.
think from like 16 onwards, I think some people might then like say, well, you're policing.
I think if you're scared of being like accused that you're policing, I feel like the easiest and softest way always is to ask a question.
Yeah.
Question this.
Yeah.
Why do you think this is appropriate? Open question.
Or just like, why do you like wearing this? And then see. Because I think, do you know that the thing that comes to mind though, if I get why you're saying it, is which I think is a very sad world to live in, is that it's the predators that will see these things and then act on it, or potentially act on it. And I think women experience this all through their lives, if I'm honest. Like, I know if I came to this studio in a short skirt and my bum was like in the skirt, just there, like ready for people to see, I'm sure, and this is not like a big-headed thing, it doesn't even matter what I look like, I'm sure I could have like this as a top half and a skirt and like someone would have either catcalled or like looked, do you know what I mean? Like, and again, that's human nature, but I think it's again a societal thing where like I feel like women can't fully express themselves necessarily because of that said scarcity of like I can't go to I feel like, this is just me personally, I feel like I can't go to a club in a dress like that and then walk home at like 1 o'clock
That's
in the
so
morning
true,
without my keys in my fist, or like, do you know what I mean? 999 dialed, just like there on my phone. Do you know
There's
what
so
I mean?
many times that I was like thinking, for example, I'm choosing the clothes and I'm like, I don't want anyone to look at me today. I'm gonna pick this clothes.
Wild.
I didn't even like, you said it and I just realized.
Wild.
Or like today, I feel like I can like I'm ready to be appreciated. If someone wished to, like I'm ready to people to look. For example, okay, cool, I'll wear that. I have coffees, but today, don't look at me. I'll pick something baggy. I'll hide something.
But that's so interesting because I think I just don't, and maybe the man them can comment on this, but I just don't think men get that like the same way. They don't get that kind of stick in terms of what they wear, like the options that they wear. And I know that poor guys, you don't have much to choose from, to be fair, in terms of clothes. You know, like really, like I feel like women, we're privileged. We got a lot to choose from, but I think like guys don't really have that issue. But maybe I'm wrong, so please comment.
Well,
Thanks, Luke. Luke sponsored me.
All right. Oh, we could talk about this. I feel like we could sit here for hours and hours.
For sure.
Time flies. But if there would be one stereotype about women that we would like for people to leave behind, it can be something that we already talked about, but just kind of summarizing.
Does it have to be dance related?
No, I don't think so.
Not every woman wants to be a mum.
That is bars. That is bars.
This is something that's really, I do want to be a mum, but it's something that's like that I've been really passionate about recently, and I've just felt a bit more deeply recently. I don't know why. I think maybe because like I'm on that path of like I want to be a mother, so then I'm more like I'm hyper aware to like other women's like experience around that, and just like just speaking with like many different ages of women who have decided not to and who have, or they've, you know, they started late, etc. And it's just, I don't know, like it's, the judgment that comes with, for instance, like women who make a decision not to, I think is so audacious. like to feel like you have a right to comment on someone who's chosen to take autonomy over what they decide to. I don't know. Yeah, it's just, so that would be my one stereotype. Not every woman wants to be a mother.
Strong.
Sorry, I feel like I've made it like really deep.
No,
That's all I'm now.
I'm trying to think of like.
I can say one for myself. I think if you're gonna shine, you're not gonna take away from anyone else's shine.
Yes.
And I feel
Amen.
like when women support each other, we support each other. Like sometimes we think there's gonna be jealousy, and sometimes it's that. But if you shine, women like. It's going like I just love us.
Yeah.
I just love the way women support each other. Like even when I posted the post with women like that I work with in this project, I was so gassed. I was looking at it so long. I was like, wow. It's just like I don't know. There's something beautiful about us that we very much like. We really speak up about that support, and it's just kind of like shine, because like whoever shines next to you, they're gonna let you shine even more.
Rub it on me.
Yeah. yeah it's not going to take away from anyone, and it's not better or worse. It's just let's all shine.
100%. I'm probably gonna say a controversial one, but
We love them.
just from not just my own experiences, a lot more so a long time ago, but experiences that I've had other women tell me about. Just because a girl wants to jam with you don't mean it's an opportunity to bang, bruv. Like it's not that deep. Like
Hallelujah.
just, and I say this in a form of like training conversations where like, can we train? Like, oh yeah, do you want to come to my house and train? And then it's like, yeah, I want to train, bro. Like
Slide in the bro, just
you know what I mean, just to be sure that the friend situation is very clear. But and this is me like also like standing up for people that I spoke to. Like just I think if our male counterparts can be aware and have context in those conversations, because I know a lot of women that have felt extremely uncomfortable and now don't go to certain events because they don't want to be around said people, which I think again is like this whole thing we're talking about of it being a shame of you don't want to show up because this person's made you feel uncomfortable. So I think if and women as well, like being super clear. I think it's just communication is key, and like consent is key. And I don't mean in a sexual way. I just mean consent as in like be clear, like we're going to train. I'm not going to try a thing.
Exactly. Let's just make the space of like about what it is.
Yeah, I think that needs to be sorted out.
For the wrap of this episode, I don't know how to put it into words nicely, but don't try to explain women's behavior on the period, on the fact that they're single, not fucked enough, or something like basically anything I am doing wrong, like I'm too aggressive, too direct, too emotional, too this, too that. It's not because I'm a woman, I'm a human being, so as you, so don't be sorry, be better.
Yes,
that's it.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
Yes, tell them
Give God the glory for the good message.
Thank you so much, ladies. I think we could definitely sit here and talk about it more and more, but I think it's a good start. I think it's a great start, and thank you so much for supporting.
Thank you so much for having us.
And to give you your flowers.
Yeah, like, doing up the things them.
Yeah, no, honestly, like this is like, because I remember when you told me about the idea. I don't know if you remember. Yeah, this was when you were doing 6 Corners.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
Yeah. And you
we were doing that together as well.
And you like, you mentioned it like really briefly. And I remember you said you had built a team and you had applied for funding or something like that. Or something. And all these deep conversations. You're like, did I? It's just so nice to like to see it like manifested, and just like some of the videos that you've posted and the impacts that I know it's making, like it's it's needed. And like obviously like I'm biased with this because it's run by women, and now that I know that like you're on the team as well, like I'm like
Yeah.
some her. But yeah, it's like it's honestly it's amazing to see.
Yeah, and you're a great example of someone who says they're going to do something and they do it. And I think that that's a good example for everyone out there that's thinking of doing something similar.
Yes.
You're a great testimony of that is possible, and you're such a hard worker. Like we all appreciate you
Aw.
dearly.
Yes. And your testament of like, I think you mentioned something about learning different skills and not just staying within
In one
the
bubble, yeah.
dance bubble. And I feel like you have like expanded that, and you are a good example of that, because you still be fucking up in the studio, but you're very much so like curating like a different or have curated a different lane. And I think it's it's dope. It's amazing.
Sick.
Thank you,
Come
ladies.
through.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Appreciate
man.
it.
Is there
And,
an outro song that we need to sing?
Oh, we can
Not
have to
that
make
one.
one.
We
But you know,
go.
like for everyone that's listening, I just want to challenge you to share this.
Yes.
To share it with at least 5 people you think they need it, because I think it's all about, like, this is what we Grow to 60 is about, to be honest. Sharing it with someone that needs it, because there is someone in your community, and if you don't know who that is, ask,
Yeah.
because I can bet everything like that there is someone like next to you that probably will need this and needs to hear it and needs to just have that food for thought. You know, it's like I listen to podcasts when I cook, when I clean, when I
Yeah,
when I
me
have like these
too.
moments, and it's just like fuel me with so much like positive and new vibration. And I think this is what we try to do, and I'm sure there's a lot of females in this industry that need just that little support. Just be like, oh, I'm not the same, like I'm not alone on that boat.
Yeah. Yeah.
The boat, we're on the same boat. We all swim into the same direction. Swimming, we all like okay, let's swim. But yeah, thank you guys for listening, watching, and thank you guys for joining me.
Thank you.
Make sure you tune into the next one. Like, share, subscribe, all of them ones, them things that help us grow. Thanks. Bye-bye.